When I came home from school one day and the news was on and it was Churchill and he said, we are now at war. I can always remember him saying that. We are now at war. So after that, the sirens used to go, the aircraft from Germany used to come over, and we had to have blackouts, no lights showing at all. We went to school with gas masks, iron rations, in case there was air raids when we were at school. My father built an air raid shelter in the garden, which we used to go in when the sirens went at night. We could always tell, really, whether it was a German plane by the sound. You know, you'd think it's a German coming. But where we lived, we were lucky that we didn't get bombed in the village. Not like a lot of places. But the aircraft used to come over to Coventry, because they bombed Coventry a lot. And the dry part, you know, they used to come over. Yeah, you used to say they're going over to Coventry. Okay. Yeah, as you say, you couldn't have any light showing, and food rationing.
So what food could you have?
We didn't have any bananas or anything like that. And that's when I gave up sugar.
Oh.
During the war, because it was difficult to get.
Yes.
And but we managed, you know, to have good meals.
What happened during an air raid then?
When there was an air raid, you know, the Ramster, you'd say, Albert, there's an air raid, there's an air raid. I can remember him a shout. He wouldn't get up. And we all used to go down, and the neighbours used to come into our air raid shelter as well and sit under there. But my father was still upstairs in bed.
Didn't he join you?
And my mother used to say, oh, Albert, he'll be killed, he'll be killed. It didn't bother him a bit. He built this shelter. Everybody else came in it. Oh dear. I can always remember that. My mother panicking, thinking, they didn't bomb on. I mean, we didn't get bombs.
No.
Well, I used to go and help at a canteen at the church because we had the Air Force there from the aerodrome, and also the Army was stationed at Donington, and we used to have a canteen at the church where we used to provide drinks and things to eat for them.
Right.
And they used to come to this canteen. I used to help there in the canteen. And I always remember going to Loughborough Hospital to see some of the planes that came back that had been on raids from Donington Airport, and some of them were injured. And they were in Loughborough Hospital. I remember going to seeing them in Loughborough Hospital that had been injured on raids. And they had, in fact, I've still got my ARP badge, air raid precaution.
Right.
I've still got it.
Right. Did you have training then for that?
Well, a bit, yeah. And then there was the ambulance. We used to go on duty, so many of us, in turn, in case there was an air raid and needed the ambulance.
What did you do when you were on duty?
We just sat waiting. But every night when the news was on, they always gave out so many of our aircraft are missing. Every night, you know. You got used to hearing it. We got through it all right, and life seemed to go on.
How did the airfield affect your life?
The aerodrome? Well, that was just at the back of us, actually. That didn't worry us too much. But we got to know quite a few of the airmen there, and they used to come into the canteen, you know, for drinks and that, and we got to know quite a few of them. That's where I met your dad. Yeah. But then he was flying from there, and I think then he was moved to Silverstone, the other side of Nottingham, before he was posted abroad.
Right, yeah.
And then he was posted abroad for 4 years. So then when he was demobbed, he came back, we got engaged, and he said he didn't want his parents lived in London, but he didn't want to go back to London, to Ealing. He liked the country. So that's where we stayed and made our life.
Did your father during the war?
Well, he had quite a bit of land, a lot of land, and he used to grow things. And he had these two German prisoners of war working for him on the land, and they used to take the fruit to the Derby market. Yes, I can always remember Tony, this German prisoner. He was a nice lad, and he was a very hard worker.
Okay. Where was he captured then?
I don't know.
Right.
All I know that he was brought to us and worked for my dad.
Mm.
On the land. There were two of them. So really the village seemed to be full of soldiers.
Just
Army.
army.
The army training.
Yeah.
Mm.
So they brought the Dunkirk soldiers?
Yeah, and they took them to Donington Park because they were all, I can see these lorries now, because they were all in a mess. You know, these men that had come from Dunkirk.
Were they? What,
Yeah.
What went sort of a mess just as...
Well, the clothes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what happened to them there?
Well, I suppose gradually they, that was after the war, wasn't it? That was when the war ended, wasn't it? They must have sorted them out and they were demobbed.
Right. That wasn't Dunkirk, that wasn't the end of the war though, was it? That was towards the beginning of the war. They brought them all back from...
Well, when, see these lorries now bringing them back, I thought it was Dunkirk.
Right.
But then, of course, it'd be totally different in London.
Yeah.
Table air raid shelters,
Yeah.
reinforced, I suppose,
Yeah.
that they used to get under, you know. Apart from that, they used to get into town, they used to go into the underground
Right.
and sleep in the underground.
Did he go in the underground?
Dad?
Your dad, yeah.
Well, no, because, you see, he was evacuated to Aylesbury.
Right.
And then he was at Ely Grammar School, and then the school got evacuated, and he was evacuated to Aylesbury.
Okay.
But then when he left, when he was 17, they were called up at 17, he was so keen to get in the RAF that he volunteered as soon as he could. But before they took him, I think he worked in London in some offices, and they were bombed because his head was all cut with, you know, glass and that their building on the bottom was hit by a bomb.
Oh, right.
And then, of course, you read from then when he joined up.
Well, yeah.
But he, I think he was he always said, you know, he'd rather go in the RAF than the army. And I think he was thinking of going in as a pilot, but he didn't mind as long as he got into the RAF,
Right.
you know. And he ended up, what was he, a signal or something?
Wireless operator navigator.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. But he didn't mind that.
Yeah.
But he soon got a commission.
Mm.
You know, he really very soon got a commission. Yeah, what was he then? A flight lieutenant, I think, when
Yes, yeah.
when he came out, wasn't
Yeah.
he? But reading his logbook, he always had good marks.
Mm.
Very reliable.
Oh,